So, welcome to a Maxroll podcast, guys. It's been a while. So, we have Hysteria, Condis, and Matthias here, who are all on the Maxroll D4 team, and myself, wudijo. I'm the host. So, I just kind of spontaneously, put this together here, and the guys who are there. It's like one day before the season starts. So, for all those who are watching this later, so we are going to be speculating, talking about the expectations and all that kind of stuff. I have a bit of a topic list to go through. And we're just gonna, hang out for like an hour or two or so. So we'll see kind of where the discussion leads, talking about our plans, our perspectives. If you guys have questions from chat, since you're on live stream here, feel free to kind of throw them in there. I might pick them up, or maybe towards the end, I will also just kind of see if we have some, Q&A or something, if anything comes up that we didn't discuss. But before we begin, I want to give all of you guys a quick opportunity to introduce yourselves. So let's go with Hysteria, Condis, and then Matthias.
Hey, I Paladin main here. I was Sork only for a while, but since Paladin release, I have not strayed off of it yet. So I guess I've been playing since. For those of you who don't know me, I've been playing D4 since the very start. I have not skipped a season yet. And yeah, I think that's it.
Hey, I'm Condis, barbarian guy, mainly doing leveling on Maxroll, but also I like to blast a lot of classes. I'm gonna go HCSF this season, gonna try to hit rank 1 barb, and we'll see how it goes. I've been hitting a lot of rank 1s in D3, so, well, we need to get some rank 1s in D4 too, because we are getting official leaderboards now.
There you go. And I'm Matthias. I am a rogue rider for Maxroll, but yeah, like I basically never touched any other class, so I can't I know nothing of this game other than rogue, and yeah, so that's the perspective I'll be bringing today to this chat, which it's kind of rare, but rogue is like on top for once, kind of. So that's fun.
But he knows Rogue very well, guys. So that one for sure. All right, yeah, very cool. Yeah, so my topic list is roughly we're going to talk about like the season as a whole and our impressions, maybe like whatever comes up basically. And then I want to talk a bit about the actual season content, the mechanic, the boss, whatever. We've tested it on PTR. I guess everyone has seen that a bit. What do you guys think? Then what you're gonna do, like progression-wise, like what do you think about the game, like leveling up, for example, like early progression and all that, and then how it's gonna go with like the later progression. For example, new mythics are coming in. We have a bunch of like changes in the grind across the board, basically. Class build balance, this kind of stuff. Our plans for the season, and maybe what else comes like after that. I mean, Connors has already mentioned a few things, but this is sort of the like list that we have here. So let's jump in. Season overall impressions, like what do you guys think? Like what are you most excited for? What is like something that you think is like a terrible change? I don't know, anything like that.
I mean, the lore implication is intense. No, no, I have no idea. But I think this season, honestly, is like my dream for every season is that the base core of the game improves. Like that, I always felt bad in the past where it's like they're putting a lot of dev attention to like make a temporary fix or a temporary thing that just disappears later. Like I always felt like disappointed in that. But I feel like now like SSF and leaderboard and just for rogue like a bunch of bug fixes. Like to me, this is all I want. If each season could just be like a big patch like this, like I'm happy. That's my feelings.
Okay, what about the others?
I mean, we can add to that they are really getting a tempo now, because for a very long time they really didn't know what they want to do with the game, I assume, because yeah, we had like rainbow hell tides, still people just joke about them. Then we had like a year of powers, and what was that? And now they know what they want to do with the game, and it looks way better from every season. Like every season we get a new boss. Now we are getting a very cool mechanic that's gonna be both overworld, both in the dungeons. Like we also had like with the invasions, with the chaoses. They know what they want the game to be, and that's what I'm hyped about. There may be some little weird things like Realm Walker 2.0. Like couldn't they just made something new? Like is that just like reusing some assets because it was lying around? like that's a little
Nostalgia
weird thing.
sells.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
huge Realmwalker nostalgia, I'm sure. Yeah, season 6.
Yeah,
man.
like it's some little weird things like that, but it's like the gameplay wise, it's getting way better now. So that's what I'm hyped about. Item wise, I believe we're gonna talk about new mythics later, so I don't want to jump right into it. But when we are talking about seasonal mechanic, we can also say we can also talk about the Pandemonium shards, Pandemonium fragments that we will be getting, and we're gonna have next type of guaranteed mythics too. So we are still going with all the guaranteed stuff. So maybe that's the wrong direction, but most of it's cool for me. Gameplay wise, rewards wise, it's okay, but maybe too much for the guaranteed size of rewards.
Yeah, I mean, I think excitement, I guess, for the season would mainly be for me is around the SSF stuff. Like, I guess I've always been like a trade guy, you know, like I push leaderboards, like you can't really not do it, you know, at a certain point. But like, I feel like each season, like as we go on, I try to like delay, you know, heading over to the Diablo trade site as long as I can. So it'll be nice to not be like forced into doing it, right? Because like I do enjoy like you know the style of getting everything yourself, but yeah, like you guys were saying, I feel like the base game itself is heading in a very good direction. I guess like my only gripe with this season is I guess it might also only really apply Paladin, but like the lack of balance of like the skills, you know, the inner class balance, you know, because I don't think it's shifted too much since season 13, but like overall, I think, you know, 90% of the changes are good, so it should be fun.
Yeah, it seems like SSF is like a relatively big topic. I'm kind of curious to also hear from like chat maybe what they think, you know, about SSF. Like in my community, for example, there's a lot of people talking about SSF and like, yeah, I'm gonna go SSF for sure and stuff. But it's certainly also, I guess I have more of these kinds of people in my audience as well, I imagine. So I'm kind of curious to see if you're gonna get any sort of like statistic or any insight. Like, what is the distribution? I guess we will probably be able to tell a little bit from like the leaderboards themselves, right? At least you can see how fast it fills up, you know, what is the distribution and so on. But yeah, I wonder how big it's gonna be, because on one hand, there's like a lot of people that are like super casual that are just like you know, SSF for different reasons than we are, right? They're just SSF by default because they don't have anyone else to group up with, and they just play the game that way, right? They don't even know that trading exists or like a trade website or whatever. Right, and then on the other hand, you have like the try-hard blasters, you know, that really want the SSF, so that you know, you have like kind of a more even playing field and all that, right? So it's kind of interesting to see like the two very extreme parts of the community, basically, that sort of like both fall into this SSF, and then I wonder what about the middle, right? Like, where is that gonna go? Like, how many people actually actively choose to go SSF for not really like any particular reason, or you know, like maybe they feel like it may more enticed to try it because it's new, but then they realize it's not for them. So it's gonna be kind of exciting to see, I guess. But yeah, it's definitely a huge step up, I think, for the game, especially for the more involved community. I think, like from what I hear, a lot of the blasters definitely are interested in SSF. So I guess we have like 4 SSF people here now. So, did I get it correctly, Matthias? Are you also doing SSF?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. So yeah, there you go. I guess, and I would also expect like a lot of the other like Maxroll guys and like you know like a lot of people that want to be competitive in any way. It's just like way more exciting when you know, okay, this is like, you know, clean, you know, no weird like group boosting going on. You know, no weird, okay, people getting fed with gold or RNTing or anything like that, right? So that's kind of like huge. Even if, you know, on the other hand, it's like, okay, no one really needs that to play the game. But yeah, I think it's gonna be fun to just kind of like have this sort of feeling of accomplishment, I guess. But yeah, kind of cool. And I guess to Connors' point, like he talked about why did they use a Realm Walker? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, realistically, it's basically just the name. I feel like if you compare it to like the old Realm Walker mechanic, it's like, okay, it's like this guy and the name, and everything else is new anyway, right? So I feel like saying, "Oh, this is just Ramwalker again," is not really like doing it justice, I guess. So
I mean, my point was that if people remember Runwalker when he was at an event and he was like really walking through the zones, now they may get a weird impression of him. And if it was like something new, they wouldn't have a bad taste from the season 6, and they could be more excited because some people will see that and will think it's the same thing, but it's not.
yes. Yeah, maybe they should have just not called it Ramwalker, right? It's just like make some new name and whatever, and that's it, and then it would not have this attachment. Yeah, I guess I see that.
Yeah, like realm sitter, and he's just sitting in one place. So it's
Blizzard needs to hire you.
Yeah.
They have my number.
Yeah.
they are like,
Definitely
on call.
not Realm Walker. That's what it's called. Definitely not Realm Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the goggly eyes and the
Yep.
nose.
Very cool.
We have
Okay.
a new April Fool stuff.
But what do you guys think about the like season like mechanic, like the crafting part of it, and also like the like have you tried the boss, the content, like these events that pop up, or what do you think about them in general?
I didn't
I can
try them in the PTR, so you can speak to them, or it's
Yeah,
someone.
Yeah, like I can start with that because I was so excited because I'm a fan of mechanics in the dungeons, and whenever something that happens in Diablo, that it's always like a big chunk of gameplay for me, and I believe like that's the best activity so far, like best mechanic so far, because it's very dynamic. And now after PTR, they also like boosted the tempo of it, so you just run around whenever you go to the like raptures in the ground that you need to stay on. They spawn more monsters, so you can also decide, are you just going full in, and I'm gonna play barbarian, I'm gonna go full in, of course, and spawn more monsters and get more stuff, or should I just try to kite around? Yeah, it's very dynamic, so it's super fun. For rewards were kind of meh in PTR, so I hope they get buffed a little bit. But yeah, the dynamic part of it was very cool. And also, you have two parts of it, especially talking in the dungeon. You had to complete 15 raptures, if I remember correctly, to spawn the Death Chamber. So you also have like this dopamine hit that you are working for a goal. And if you work for that goal, then you have the second part, and the second part gives you is also another activity, and it also gives you more rewards. So it's like everything what we need from ARPG, and making it two-part, dynamic. So you also have a fun activity to do, and then you get like a reward that you worked for. It's like a perfect activity for me. For overworld activities, it's a little bit worse because you are not guaranteed to get the Death Chamber, because you have like the three different raptures. You have normal, you have the middle one, you have the big ones. The big ones are with the Wormwalkers. But for the dungeon part, it's like super dynamic. Monsters pop up everywhere. Loot was mech, but it's gonna maybe change on the higher torments also. We're gonna see. But the two parts of the activity is what really speaks for me.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
You sold me.
Yeah. As long as the loot's better, of
Okay.
course.
Have you tried it, Hysteria?
I usually don't mess with the seasonal mechanics on PTR and kind of just,
Okay.
vibe and experience it as we jump into the season. Save a little bit since we just spoil everything else for ourselves with PTR.
Yeah, fair
So I
enough.
just usually test like the class balance that I'm playing at the time as all my focus on PTR.
Okay. Yeah, I tried it a little bit, and I kind of agree with Condis. I think it's going to be actually more exciting than a lot of people think to actually do it. But it also depends a little bit on like what are the final changes they made. They said that they made like faster and not so much standing in place. I found it like overall like a decent mechanic at least. So, it's going to be like a nice little thing on the side. It's not going to be like a major activity, I think. You go into Helltide, you see the thing, you go do it. You go into a dungeon, you see the thing, go do that, right? It's like something that kind of pops up when you go there. And besides that, I guess you're still going to do like a general like wall plans loop, whatever you actually want to do most of the time. So that is there. But then there's also like the reward, which is the Pandemonium Fragments. And for those that don't know, you will be able to craft a mythic with that. So this is like a new cube recipe. I think this is specific to this season, where you can take any unique and then you can make one mythic. But it's gonna be like in the same item slot, I think. It's not like necessarily the same item that you get from it, but you do this a few times and then you will basically have whatever you want. And I expect this is going to be relatively accessible. So kind of like everyone gets like one mythic relatively easily, basically, from that season mechanic. And
the important part to say is that every unique can be mythic now, and it's gonna be mostly for class uniques. So you're gonna not get a mythic, but you're gonna get a class unique, which is not that's a big of a deal for me, to be honest.
It's a very big deal for Rogue. But yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you have to be lucky.
I mean, you can also go do a boss and get a unique. And it's gonna be faster to farm, for example, a Grigoire than farming all of this loop to get a unique.
Yeah, okay, but we're talking about the mythic version, right?
Stronger,
so there's like the regular uniques and then there's a mythic version of that unique.
It's only 30%. It's only 30% stronger.
Every affix is max, right?
It's a Maxroll, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of power, to be fair. So if you're talking about like outside of the season mechanic, right? There's like the mythic upgrade that we had, and you can now find any unique as a mythic with a 30% increased power, and everything is maxed. So for those that didn't know that. And this means that now a lot of builds actually gain a lot of power from that once you have those mythics. So we don't know exactly how long it will take to get them, right? It might be like quite a long grind. If you look at the history, mythics, they kind of were relatively plentiful at some points, including last season if you were running Undercity tributes and stuff like that. But those has been tuned down a little bit. And the lair bosses can drop them sometimes. But now there is basically a lot more mythics in the pool, right? We don't just have the original mythics, which are now called iconic uniques, but basically every other class unique and every other generic unique can now also become a mythic. So they will probably kind of like interfere with each other's like drops, basically. And it's going to be tough to get exactly the one you want. But once you do, it's pretty good, I think. For like items that have like really big multipliers already, that multiplier will then be 30% higher than before. So, 100% buff becomes 130% buff, 200% buff becomes a 260% buff, and so on. Plus the Maxroll and all the affixes, which can make it quite easier to actually get a good roll of it as well, right? So
yeah, it's going to be very like if you get the right unique on Rogue, I guess early on, like you're probably going to gain like a few tiers in the just from one, if you get the right mythic. Like if the first one you craft happens to be like the one you need, like your damage like 3x's instantly. So
yeah, I'm planning to go for I'm planning to go for Penshot Rogue and go Eaglehorn, and let's see if I get that thing. And then exactly that, right? And it will be guaranteed Ancestral as well. So it's a little bit like the Diablo 3 guaranteed primal that it can make from the cube, basically. And this is something you can do with the season mechanic in D4 now as well. So this is like a huge power spike once you get the thing that you care about. And in some cases, you can basically guarantee that as well. Like in some slots, especially on weapon slots for most classes, there is only like one or maybe two options, like if you look at bows on the rogue, there's like 3 bows maybe, all right? So it's not even going to be that hard to get that thing that you care about on some builds, in particular for weapon slots. So that is something that kind of like is worth checking out, I think. And then if you're looking at sort of the late game stage, when you actually have, let's say, 3, 4, or 5 of those, like including all of the like dropped mythics and like all the right stuff in every slot, I think most builds, even those that were not buffed in any way, that were not touched by balancing in any way, will end up being at least twice as powerful, probably more in the end. So it's kind of huge, I think.
Yeah, like every multiplier is 1.3x, so you can just multiply it by the amount of uniques you have. And maybe some builds will even choose to play more uniques than legendaries now. because
sure.
of its power.
Yeah, in my guide making, I've been like trying to squeeze in as many uniques as I can.
I mean, it's also a very nice gameplay loop too, because you have way more chase now. Like people don't like the change with the random stats and everything, but it gives you so much chase and so much grinding that it's the best thing for blasters like us, I believe.
I think it's not necessarily just a
Yeah.
blaster thing, honestly. Like, you know, obviously, like, you know, we are probably people that will brute force it, let's say, right? Like, we will have the mythic in
Yeah.
every slot with all the right stuff. But I
Yeah.
think even like on the, let's say, more lower end, you know, just kind of like people grinding for the game, whatever, you know, you do the season journey and they peace out or something. You know, it's gonna be kind of cool to, like, you know, hit that mythic that they want and get a huge power spike, and then maybe get another lucky drop that goes along with your build as well, right? And or maybe you just find another mythic that is not for your build, and you're like, oh man, okay, maybe you're enticed to actually try something else with that because it's like this one big item for that other build, right? So I expect that also to kind of go this way a little bit, and that is kind of nice. I think this is probably what the devs were shooting for. Is like that's actually more my expectation.
Yeah, it feels a lot like Chaos Armor, right? With like you're just constantly hunting for like the perfect piece. Like I hope that, you know, it's not too difficult, I guess. You know, like it definitely needs to be like for at least for this, like a good balance of like a chase item, right, that takes a while to get, but also like I you know, are you gonna go a whole season without getting, you know, one specific mythic, right, that you need to finish your build, right? Like I think that's like a fine line, right? Like, you know, a lot of people played with Chaos Armor and it's like, well, I need this unique on the boot slot and I didn't get it after I played for 400 hours. Like that definitely can be frustrating, but
I mean, Chaos Uniques were much different because now we are talking about the same item in the same slot, but with the higher multiplier. It's just a higher number. If you turn off numbers, you can have only uniques and no mythics, and it's gonna be the same build.
well, yeah,
So
of course.
it's not the same thing. And if I want to play the devil's advocate, that's also the worst part, because we are now when we are starting the game, we are looking for uniques. Then we are looking for ancestral uniques. Then we are looking for ancestral uniques with right GA, and then we are looking for the mythic uniques with the right GA, and we are finding the same item all over again. Like, come on, guys, why are we finding the same items 5 times? Like maybe something could be done better here, and maybe that's like the limit. If you're gonna get like the super mythics now, then maybe that's gonna be too much. And I believe mythics, like every mythic, is a little bit too much for me, for my personal taste, because we are finding the same item now for the 4th time every season. So that's my limit. But I also see the chase here, and when I'm looking at my blaster experience, it's gonna be the best season for me because I'm gonna have so much chase and so much stuff to look for. So I see good points in both ways.
I have a question. So imagine that instead of this new mythic system where everything can be mythic, they would just take like a subset of the existing uniques, right? And either only those have a chance to become mythic and the others not, or they just get straight up converted. You know, they are now mythics. You know, imagine something like Rod of Keppel, like
Okay.
or something like
It-
that,
It,
or
it
Ramanatni.
depends if those are build enablers, because I don't want in Diablo to have a build enablers that are like super rare. I want people to have fun. So build enablers should not be like super restricted. And I get like why for example, Shaco is just plus to all skills. You can fit that in every build. It's a nice mythic. It would suck as a unique because it's for everything, so it's for nothing. You would just use a class helmet, and also like a grandfather is just a straight up multiplier. But if we have like build enablers hidden behind 10,000 hours of gameplay, that would be bad for the game.
Okay, but I mean, if there's like a sort of target farm, like we have this new cube recipe, right? You can try to hunt for the one thing that you really care about. So how about then?
Yeah,
I
sorry, you can go.
if there's a chase, then it's fun. Like I like chasing stuff.
No, I agree with what you're saying about like having a way to farm it. I think if you do it that way, then it could like introduce a fun way. But at the same time, like you're like Connor's saying, like with if it's a build enabling unique, it would definitely be less fun if you like can't even switch to a build right until you get a mythic. Like that kind of gameplay loop. For Diablo, I guess I don't think very many people would enjoy that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting though, because we do have some builds that are like generally just like full endgame builds, right? And one of them is actually at the very top of our tier list as well, which is Death Trap Rogue, for example, right? It's like the hardest build to make in the game, pretty much. But it's also like ridiculous, payoff basically once you get it, right? Like it's just like it does everything and it's extremely good at everything. So I think it's exciting to have these sort of builds in the game as well, where it's like, okay, I just accept this is not a build I will play on day 1 or day 2 or even day 3 or whatever, right? Or maybe for the first week even. And then at some point I have the stuff and I make my build and I equip everything and I'm a god, right? And I think that is also cool, right? This is something like to work towards, something to, it feels good when you actually have the full Exodia assembled. And I think a lot of people are also kind of looking for something like that as well, where it's like, okay, I hear sort of this a complaint, like, okay, you have your build online at level 35, your skill tree is done, I just like dump my points, and now what do? I just get more levels, I get more Paragon, I get more loot, but I play the same thing, there's no change anymore in my build in some ways, right? That happens with some builds, right? They're just done, basically. And you just get stronger and you go through the progression, sure, right? But in terms of like actually like sitting down and okay, what do I do now? Maybe I'm gonna swap this skill, maybe I'm gonna equip that item. You don't really do this at some points anymore. And I think for that, it's cool to have stuff like Death Trap Rogue or stuff like, if I just imagine like, I was playing a Spiritborn and Capeleke is now a mythic. I would enjoy that. I don't know, maybe my personal thing, but I would like it. I wonder what other people think. Maybe chat also.
I guess what you're saying kind of makes me think of old like perma teleport on Sork, right? Where you have to get 65% cooldown, and then you get all your evade tempers, right? Where like you're saying, where you finally hit the Exodia, and then you're blasting. So I guess I can resonate with that it is like a fun thing like to chase, right? Where it's like, all right, I'm almost there. I just need one more piece, and then I'm zooming.
Like
Yeah.
if I'm gonna add to that, or maybe Matthias first because I was already talking a lot.
I was going to say, I think it's a key distinction is that this Exodia build that we're talking about, if there is like something to chase, that build shouldn't be like 10 times stronger than every other build. Like, I think that's the balance now for Rogue. It's like, yeah, you can go for a Rain of Arrows or Death Trap. These are chase builds that you won't probably have in the first week. And once you do get them, like you're going to be maybe like 10, 20, like maybe 3-4 tiers higher on the pushing. Like it's like you can get by with never doing this. But for the blasters, there is something to do. Because I'm just thinking like there's like a level of FOMO that happens. Like you watch a streamer and he has like he's doing 50 tiers higher than you because he just invested 100 hours. And yeah, so I think as long as the balance is there, I like more chase builds is good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
like
good point for sure. Like the balance needs to be there, and I think this is actually really this actually hit the mark right now, right? If you look at the Rain of Arrows or Death Trap, they're like, yeah, basically near the top, but they're not like ridiculous, far ahead or something like that. And I think that's actually perfect, right?
If
Sorry,
I
Candice.
would add one more thing to that is that for my point, mainly I was talking about that we also have like the early version and also we have the whole progression because yeah, Death Trap is a nice build, but wouldn't it be better if you could play it earlier, maybe a little bit different? Because I believe the journey is like the best part of the game, not the goal, but the journey. And when we have build like that, the journey is also cool because we have two builds then in the equation. I need to have a starter that is very, very cheap, it's very, very easy to make, and then I'm playing a second build. It's also very, very fun. But if I want to play, for example, the Death Trap Rogue, wouldn't it be even more fun if I could have a early starter version that works somehow? because, for example, I'm gonna play Whirlwind Barb next season, but I'm gonna play the Auto Bomber with the Mighty Throw. So I'm gonna start just with Whirlwind, and I'm gonna play Whirlwind with Twisters. Then I'm gonna play Whirlwind with Mighty Throw. And I'm gonna go for the full Mighty Throw setup. I'm gonna have like 4 different builds in between. So on Death Trap Rogue, you have only 2. I have 4. So I'm in even better place then, right? It's all about the balance. It's all about the gameplay. It's all about a lot of stuff. But from my perspective, if you can start your journey and have the experience as soon as you can, it's gonna be the best case for the player. But
Yeah,
it's about the balance then too.
I guess like one note about this is that there is technically a Death Trap starter variant. It's just that I guess most people kind of skip that part and they just play another build until then. But you can do what you just described with like a different setup, and you know it's like not as like smooth and there's like perma reset and all that kind of stuff. But it is there, so there's that. But I think some builds probably just have like different entry points, and I think it's fine for some builds to just like work from start to finish, and for some builds to like start at a medium point, and for some builds to start at a high point, and so on, right? As long as there is enough variety on a class at all points, I think that is kind of like the most important distinction here, right? So if I can start at a 1 and play like 5 different leveling builds and they're all solid, perfect, right? And then later more options open up, and in endgame I have 15 builds on the rogue or something. And at various points kind of like more builds kind of come in there where I think, okay, they're like all on the same level or something like that, right? And if it's more of a problem, I think, when you start a barb, you have like 1.5 leveling builds. and then and then okay, they have to like actually like wait like an entire day to even play something else or something, right? So that is a bit of a problem.
Yeah, maybe Barbie is a bad case for that, but it's fun for the journey I want to have. So maybe I mean, balancing goes both ways. We need balance both at the end game, but also in the early game.
Yes.
And we have a lot of fun uniques now, but with the changes to the tree, I believe like we didn't get enough of those build enabling uniques also in the tree. Because like for example on Barb, why did the third blade not become like a variant or something like that? We still need to wait until level 60 and until getting a boss drop to play weapon master skill.
Yeah, it's probably like maybe an oversight in like the redesign of the skill tree, or who knows, right? Like, I mean, we don't know what the devs are thinking necessarily, but it's like my impression at least that not everything is perfect, not everything is where it should be, and there's also like some aspects that just got deleted where I feel like this was kind of like a fan favorite thing. I know I'm always like my favorite example on that is like Trample Slide Druid or something, right? It just doesn't exist anymore. That used to be an aspect, now it's gone. Why is that not in the skill tree, right? And who knows, maybe it's still there somewhere, right? They have it lying around, so
they are cooking.
yeah, maybe there's gonna be some other update at some point, and all these like lost variants gonna come back. Maybe they're gonna add a 4th variant for all the skills or whatever, right? So I think they have plenty of options available now with like new skill tree and so on. So it could go any way, really.
Yeah.
Do you have any other comments on like this whole like season mechanic, mythic topic or something like that? Else I would like to move on. Okay.
No, I'm sure we'll maybe touch on it later.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about some endgame stuff as
It's
well.
all related.
Okay, but I mean, we already talked about like progression and like going through levels and going through the builds. So I'm kind of just curious like to hear your guys' thoughts. Like, what do you think about the sort of like the day 1, day 2 experience right now? What is your plan? What is your strategy? We have like a few different leveling strats, for example. Do you like how this is working right now? Do you like the pacing of that? Going from like level 1 to the torments and so on. So how's your impressions there?
For the last like 5 seasons, I've played in a group with my fellow Maxroll rogues like Dioxide and Ava, and so I don't even remember what it's like to level solo anymore. So I'm super excited for that first and foremost. Just like not have a bunch of rocks in my backpack, but no, they're fine. But I think for like it's kind of crazy that people are doing 1 hour 1 to 70 runs. I don't know if that's good for the game, but I guess like that's like I don't think people would accidentally do that. So I think it's cool that there are like very strategic like speed runs in the game. I feel like there hasn't really been that before. Like it's kind of just been like just kill as many monsters as you can per hour. But now there's like some actual strategy where if you know the game, you will be faster. So I don't know. I'm not entirely sold if it's like the balance of it all is perfect, but I like it for now.
What about the good old dopamine tunnels?
Holy. I would want to come back there. I want to go to Champion Demise and sit there for a whole week.
And get nearly one-tapped by lightning shamans every time.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess like personally, as far as like the too fast leveling, like I guess I don't really care too much about like the 1 to 70 journey. So like that being over quicker is like kind of nice. I kind of see it as like, 1 to 200 paragons, like the early like leveling that I like. It is a fun progression curve, like you're saying, right? Like you hit, T1 at like, and it's a journey, to climb up the torment tiers, and like I don't know, I guess. I don't really get dopamine putting in a skill point, right? But like, as you get closer to like, a 90% damage Paragon node, right? Like I do enjoy that part of the early leveling. So I guess, I definitely I like the fast leveling. 1 hour might be too quick, but the getting to the Paragon tree quickly is nice for me versus, if it took 10 hours, right? Like I definitely lean towards like the quicker side of that, just to jump into the torment and like the early Paragon progression, because I do actually really like that. And also, yeah, I haven't leveled solo ever, so that should be a interesting experience too.
Okay, just a note here. So 1 hour is like definitely like world record territory, right? So
Right, yeah.
I guess for like the experienced blasters, it's gonna be more in like
2-3 hours.
2 to 3 hours. I think is probably like kind of the
Yeah.
target that like most people will be shooting for that are like experienced with the game. And yeah, maybe for like the more casuals, it's gonna be like double of that even or something, right? Or even longer. So yeah, I also agree with Matthias. I think it's cool that like strategies exist. I think it's nice, like whenever there is like sort of a distinction between, an experienced player and a newbie, basically. Not because I want to be elitist about it or something, but it's like, there is something to be better at, right? There's something to study. There's like a showcase of my understanding of the game, of my skill of the game, right? And this is really important. Like I think for me, it's not just okay. The seasonal progression is fun, and going from 1 to Torment 12 is fun and all that. But it's also, I want to grow as a player, right? Like, I want to be faster than the other season, and I want to see that difference, not just because they buffed or nerfed my build or my experience gains or something, right? But okay, I did it better than last time, and I think that is something that at least drives me, personally, right? Like I want to just like be the fastest wherever I can, and it doesn't really matter if that time is 1 hour or 3 hours or 5 hours. How long that really takes is not really so important. But there's sort of like the relative, shift that I feel when I play, and that is kind of the interesting part for me, at least. So in that sense, having like these sort of like leveling strats, farming strats, progression strats, like all this kind of stuff, right? That I also make content around, and like all of us do, basically, right? I think that is exciting, right? This gives you, something else to try to. You can try to become like a giga leveling speedrunner. You can try to become a giga tower pusher. You can try to, I don't know, make all kinds of stuff, basically, and maybe you're gonna get more even like competitive options as well, right? As we go. Maybe there's going to be like a Paragon ladder, or maybe there's going to be conquests on Diablo 3. Like I've been lobbying for that for many years now. So, right, there could be like people like really specializing into like one of these things. And, like they get like crazy times. Like these days, if you look at like a D3 season start, we just had one last Friday. And then, like the first conquest, like the shoutouts roll in, first person to do this thing. Oh man, this is awesome. And sometimes these times are nuts, like it's like 1 hour into the season, like they're already max level, they have already completed the first conquest. And, most people are like level 20, and I think that's just awesome, So that is really cool.
Yeah, agreed. Bigger gap between like day one of playing versus 1,000 hours in. It's good.
Yeah, if I want to give another hot take, I in the current game, I say that we level to like 150 Paragon, and that's when kind of leveling ends, not level 70, because level 70 is still like halfway of leveling, because you can just level for under 1 hour, 2 hours, and 10x your damage. It's pointless to farm at level 70. The same way it's pointless to farm at level 60 or 50, because getting levels gives you way more stuff than just farming items. Because
Yeah.
if I find like 1, 2 legendaries, I'm gonna double my damage. If I level, I'm gonna like 10x my damage. So that's my problem with leveling. Because okay, we can level to 70 in 1-2 hours, okay. But it doesn't matter because we level to like 150 Paragon and then we go farm. And it's also problematic, I believe, for more casual players, because it may also just make their whole journey way different. Or maybe it's good for them because they are following the season journey and just click all the stuff and do all the challenges, and it's fun for them too. But I would like to have some changes in leveling, but maybe with changes to Paragon that we'll know that are coming. Maybe it's expansion 3 or expansion 6, but it's coming someday. But yeah, I want to see some changes to leveling to make it like maybe like more visible line that's okay. Here you are. Here you want to stop leveling, and then you want to farm or something like that. Like it's not comfortable for me.
Do you think we should go faster, or you just mean you don't like how much power is loaded in to Paragon? I guess.
I mean, it's not about the tempo and it's not about the time, because people level like 10 times slower than me, and it's balanced around them. So I'm always gonna go fast, and it's not gonna be balanced around me. And if it would be balanced around me, I would want to have like 20x slower leveling, but it's not gonna happen. But I would want to have a more strict line when I am when the game wants me to farm than just mindlessly get XP.
Yeah, okay, but I
So I
mean,
guess like
if you look at this from the perspective of, okay, what do other games do? I feel like it is sort of comparable how the fall works to like something like Last Epoch, PoE, D2, whatever. You know, it's like, okay, you have like you set up your character, right? The 1 to 70 is like, okay, the baseline, right? Like you play through a campaign basically in PoE or something. And then you still go through the early stages of the late game, or of the end game, right? Like you go through the map tiers in PoE. And I mean, no one farms like tier 2 maps or something, right? You just go to T16 as soon as you can. And same thing with Last Epoch, right? You play Last Epoch, you go to Empowered Molars, and then to like, Corruption 300 as soon as you can. So I think this is probably like sort of the equivalent of that like Paragon 150 progression that you're talking about, right? So it is still sort of like the early game, even though the leveling is already done. And I agree with that. And I mean, you kind of just need to combine the two into like one like package, I guess, as like this is your starting point or something like that, right?
Yeah, like but my point would be more into Diablo 2A, because I I believe in Diablo 2 it's made the best because you always look for items. Like you really don't care about level. Your level on hell can be 40, 80. It really doesn't matter that much. Maybe about the zones and XP penalties. That's the only thing you may be caring about. But you always care about items, and that's more of my point. I want to have more agenda to go and get this item, this unique that I need for my build. But why would I go farm unique for my build if I could just go to Helltide and get 10 worms, that's gonna give me more power than this item. That's my point.
Okay, I see what you mean. So it's like, okay, everything you do is like irrelevant basically in leveling.
Yeah.
You just want to try to get done with it. So that's basically what
Yeah.
you're saying. Hysteria,
Well,
sorry.
it sounds like you want. I was gonna say it sounds like you want more like build enabling uniques that you can't play without. I guess, right? Like you want like a reason to go do a boss to get a unique because it will give you more strength than
Hmm.
you know. I guess.
I mean,
10
we are
10
just talking
Paragon
about
levels.
balance. We are just talking about balance here.
No. I was just asking. Like, I guess like what a solution would be, right? Would it be like the uniques are
quick
stronger
solution
then?
for that would be to slow leveling, because I'm gonna have less power per hour with XP.
Yeah,
So
so
I'm gonna be
basically if you look at the like it's sort of like
Okay.
aggregate of character power, right? Then in the very early stages, like almost all of it is just levels, like skill tree and then paragons, legendary
and it's
nodes.
always gonna be like that for early
Yeah,
levels
exactly.
in every game.
And like your gear is like basically nothing, and it's just like, okay, you have like a weapon that is like equivalent to your character or something, right? To your level. And everything else is like, okay, you don't even have aspects, right? And then eventually you have aspects. Eventually, like the gear part kind of becomes more impactful, and the curve shifts, right? So I guess that's what we're talking about here. And Connors mentioned D2 specifically, and I kind of agree with that, right? In D2, you have those cases of you don't even have like crazy unique items or something like that, right?
You go and find a spirit, and if it's gonna take you 1 hour, you're gonna be super happy to get the spirit because it's so much more power than just going through the nightmare.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna catch up with the player that didn't get the spirit.
Yes, you have this item, you get it like level 30 or something, right? And then you're just gonna wear this until level 80 if you have to, right? it's fine.
But I took time to farm it.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that I got it because I worked for it and I got it.
Yeah, I see that point. I think that's just like something that is really cool in D2. Or also just like this, like the classic, right? You go into Act 3, you get the Almost Ring, right? And the Almost Ring rolls with like faster cast rate, double res, and you're like, oh my god, man, Pork, like, exactly that, right? And it's gonna wear this thing all the way into hell, right? So that's just how it is. That's your ring now. And these sort of things, like they just don't exist at all in D4, right? And like, it would be cool to have that. I don't know how you would. I guess it's probably impossible, but yeah.
Like the first idea that I got, if you could farm a set for extra experience, maybe just take like an hour to farm it, but then you're gonna level up faster. So you're gonna have like a slower bump, and then you're gonna go faster, and one player is gonna go faster from the very beginning, and then he's gonna slow down, but then you may catch him up, something like that. So you take your time to farm, and then you are getting rewarded for it.
Yeah.
Is the stuff in D2, because I actually never played it, but is the stuff you're talking about in D2, like, is that, I guess, like, somewhat guaranteed? Like, if you, like you're saying, you go spend an hour.
Yeah,
like, are those drops?
You're gonna farm counters to get the guaranteed drops because you can always cube them up.
Yeah, imagine it's a little bit like farming a lair boss for a specific unique drop or something. You just do it a few times, and eventually you're gonna get the thing that you're looking for, and then you kind of piece it together.
Maybe you're gonna kill her 5 times, maybe you're gonna kill her 10 times, but it's guaranteed in a period of time. Maybe it's gonna be an hour, maybe it's gonna be an hour and a half, but it's kind of guaranteed.
Yeah. So I guess it's just like us doing layer bosses, it just doesn't give you enough power to be worth the time, is what you're saying, and you don't like that.
I mean, shifting that to leveling, because we are talking still talking about leveling. Imagine at level 20, you could take an hour to get something, but when you get this thing, you're gonna level next 20 levels in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. So I guess we almost did have that before, when you could target aspects. Like, oh, go take the time to go do,
Yes, yeah,
these
exactly
3
like
dungeons.
That.
Yeah, no,
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think, I agree with that then for sure. I think that was a fun, we definitely got too strong because you could do it literally right away, but like it was cool to have.
It was not balanced, but
go do these 3 dungeons, right, before you go do anything else, because if you don't, you're gonna have a way worse time at it.
If you go on a nostalgia run, yeah, I really liked just going to the Maugan Works as a barb, so I can get the air striker. I just swap my weapons, get the super overpower, destroy everything. But I can also just go to Hell Tides and maybe something's gonna drop. So I'm just gonna gamble, and it's also gonna be fun. But I can go the guaranteed way, and I'm gonna have a guaranteed time. Or maybe I can just gamble my luck, and it was fun. And I believe the previous thing with aspects in the dungeon could be done way better than the system we had, and that would be better than what we have now. But it's just less purely speculative things.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they're gonna bring back something like that. And I don't really feel strongly either way. I must say, like, you know, there was like this farming strategy or like the leveling strategies.
I mean,
okay, go
we
do
have
this
season
dungeon.
journeys now for that. So we
Yeah.
have those guaranteed rewards. If we want to do something else, I can just go do the 3 Legion events and get like a big cash with stuff. So it's also something like that.
Yeah, but
Maybe
it's
they
usually just kind of
have
like
season
random
journey for
stuff,
that.
right? It's just, it doesn't give you like a guaranteed, okay, I know what I got, right? Like this aspect or that item or something like that. So this is kind of the problem there. So if we have our leveling strategy, right, and we're gonna try to get to 70 in torments as fast as possible, then we kind of just like ignore all that stuff, right? Like all of the best leveling strategies don't do any season journey stuff, right? It's just like, okay, you get a bunch of random loot, and 5 levels later, everything is irrelevant. Maybe there's gonna be an aspect in there that's useful. You can just keep imprinting it, sure. But maybe not, right? So it's like, yeah, at least like, you know, I guess what we were talking about earlier was like, okay, the counters runs, you get your spirit and whatever, right? You know what you got, and I think that's kind of important. You can't really make a strategy around just like some random drop that may or may not happen, right? So this is just not a thing. So that's the main issue, I think.
Yeah, I like the, like, this is like potentially good feedback for Blizzard if they ever want to look at, but this might be like a Diablo 5 thing, but it's a cool conversation about, like, for example, they have the class specialization quest that we have that we don't need to do. Like that one was kind of redundant for a long time, but now it feels like leveling, you never get legendaries almost, and that one actually gives you 2 guaranteed legendaries, I'm pretty sure. Like that sort of like
What?
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't done them in like 2 years.
Yeah. No, I used to do them
it.
every leveling just to,
I need to
because I'm
check
like,
it.
oh,
I need to
I
check
enjoy the, because for Rogue on level 15 you get 2 legendaries. I'm like, and you
It
kind
gives
of
one
like
legendary RNSs. Nice.
yeah, you kind of roll the slot machine of like, oh, if I get my, it used to be more impactful because you had like the class specific like star shards for Dance of Knives, which is like now your leveling is like exactly what you're talking about. Now you're on steroids and you're gonna cruise through. So it sounds like maybe just buffing us some of these sources of, it's like side quests, sort of, that way you can go do this thing and maybe you
like
can have some agency.
Maybe something like that exists in the game, but we didn't find it because we are all speedrunning. They've already put in the game what we want, but we didn't find it because we are just speedrunning the game.
Yeah, exactly. Sabin is sitting there listening to us, face palming, like, "Oh my god, what are these idiots doing?" Like,
exactly, it's already in the game.
But I think the issue right now, like even 2 legendaries is probably not worth it. So, but they can like buff if it was 2 uniques, and maybe you could have a say, like, if for a rogue, do you want a ranged unique or a melee unique? And
it
then
has
like,
to be something specific.
Yeah, you can, like, if I get an eagle horn on level 15, like that is worth going off the track to go get, probably. So yeah, so yeah, it's a cool conversation. I feel like there's definitely things they could do, but I feel like it's not like, when I get to 70, for example, or even 50 to 70, like each unique is a huge boost, and like each Paragon legendary node is like, they're all like, no matter what I'm doing, it just feels good. Or like, oh, I found my first royal gem. Like it's all, I feel like it's all, I get dopamine from everything. I don't feel like it's as big of an issue, but yeah.
Okay, I think we can move on to basically the next topic, kind of in line with that, which is the late game progression. So let's talk about, okay, like later tournaments, and then like T12 plus, let's say. So how do you feel about that? Like, what's your thoughts on, like, okay, like how easy is it? Is the balance good? Like, do you enjoy that? What else could be done, or what's missing?
I mean, a common feedback is not just me, but just like maybe the tower could be more fun, and like that sort of gameplay loop. But overall, like Diablo 4, like I feel like a lot of criticism this game gets is because people like it's a square, but people try to shove it in a circle hole, whatever, like that saying. Like people want it to be something it's not. And for me, it's like each season is like a 50 hours of fun for a week or two. Like that's in my like brain is where I compartmentalize this video game. And like for that, I feel like Diablo 4 like hits the mark. I think if we had too much complexity and too much of a chase and all these things, it would become a different game. So I kind of like the current endgame loop. It'll be very interesting to find out though, because I haven't tried SSF. So like all the progression, like the materials and all these things. So it's like a to be continued on that one, I guess.
Yeah, like especially with the cube, with crafting, also now with the chase of mythics, that's the good part of having all uniques being mythics now, and also having two random stats. It's gonna be a lot of chase, and then with legendaries, we're also gonna want to craft them, but we can't craft greater affixes, so we also need to find bases. So the chase itself is gonna be very very fun. SSF and the tower is gonna be also very very good for, I believe, a big chunk of community. I believe a lot of people will want to try it. And only my problem with the endgame progression is defense, because okay, I'm playing barbarian. Maybe it's not gonna be the best person to talk about that, but yeah, it's Torment 12 is scary, and it's good that it's scary, but I I don't know if we have enough tools to work with it, because if I want to go Torment 12, every build's gonna pick up Endurance Fates. Every build that can pick up a two-handed wielding aspect for 40 damage reduction is gonna use that. I forgot the name, but yeah,
Heavenly
like
Strength.
Heavenly Strength. Yeah, thank you. Like everyone uses the same stuff for the defense, and I believe that like the fun part of the defense is missing. Like, maybe it's very hard to balance, and if it would be easy, I believe they would have done it. But like as a player myself, I don't think I have enough toys to play with the defense.
So what are you looking for? Like, what is missing?
Toys.
More stuff, choices, more stuff.
Okay, so you want to have like a separate way of building defenses. Like, okay, you have like life, armor, res. That typical, like build is basically it's just that, right? You try to get to your 5 million toughness and you're chilling. Or okay, we have Selig. That is like a completely different way to build your defenses, I guess. So at least the barbs do that.
And Selig doesn't show you toughness, so it's also a very scary thing, because we can't like. I played with Selig for like 2 years without knowing how it works, because I was thinking I know how it works, and then I was like, oh, that's how it works. What the fuck? Like, okay, like, well, I don't know. Like, I believe that toy metaphor is what works for me. Like, I want to have more things, more choices. Maybe. I mean, the toughness itself is very good. I like to know my amount of EHP, my max hit. I believe that's done in a good way. I liked resistances that were before, because I could cap them, and then I would go for max life, then I could go for armor. I would like check mark some things, and now it's about getting more is better. So I don't have those like hard caps. I'm just going more and more and more and more and more, and trying to find how much can I squeeze. And it's gonna be the same with the damage. I'm gonna want as much as I can, without any caps, without any meaningful choices. It's just gonna be always more equals better. More armor, more resistance, more HP, and that's all.
Okay.
And more DR aspects, maybe.
I feel like defenses is in a really good space, but I don't know if this is a rogue perspective, but like we do have quite a lot of toys. We have we have like barrier. We can generate barrier with cold imbue, and
I mean,
obviously you can sacrifice some offense.
barrier is also a very good topic because my next build generates 40% of my barrier as life every second. So if somehow I stop hitting enemies and something hits me with the damage over time, I just die instantly. Because I regenerate nearly half my HP every second. And that's how barrier works in the game for like years now. You can generate even like your whole life every second. Like the Death Trap Rogue before expansion 2, right? You could have like whole barrier every half a second. You were regenerating like 200% of your life every second.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of out of control.
Yeah. So like now you have only like 40-50%. And
Yeah.
there's literally no other ways to get a good regen other than defense. We have no life steal. We have like life on hit amounts are also very in a very weird spot, I believe.
Yeah, like from my perspective, I think it's fine that defenses are, let's say, boring. I think it's more important that, you know, we give every class, every build, like the ability to kind of get to whatever baseline is the requirement, basically, right? If you're talking about T12, okay, you know, 5 million-ish is like my target usually, and ideally a little bit more if you're on hardcore. And then, okay, if you're going to go like really high push, maybe a bit more beyond that, right? And then, okay, you need to have some sort of recovery. So this can be the barrier thing, this can be the life on hit thing, this can be undying aspect or whatever. So as long as you kind of heal up, you're going to be fine. But I think it's okay for defenses to be like not very exciting as long as they produce a good gameplay loop. So that is the more important part. And I would rather have the sort of like the exciting and weirdness of theory crafting, basically, more on the offensive side of the build, right? Where it's like, okay, I do this combo and now, you know, I can spam Man of Arrows nonstop. And that is now my build or something. So I think that part is like a bit much more exciting. If you give like, you know, too many crazy combos and defenses, it can very easily get out of control to the point where, okay, people are just immortal now, right? Like we had a Aesthetic Barb, and that is like certainly not how the game should work. I think making sure
like
that
the
people
last
yeah
season,
exactly. It's like
season,
yeah, Glint's Anvil was really bad because it, you know, not only did it make everyone immortal, so it kind of was like, you know, once you had this online, like, you know, like basically a lot of the gameplay just kind of gets lost somewhere, right? When you are immortal. That's the problem, right? It's like, okay, it feels good to be a god, but on the other hand, you know, the game just becomes very boring very fast. You know, if you just like close your eyes and stand in everything. And then you had the other problem where, okay, do like one tiny little thing wrong, right? You load into your pit, you have no resolve stacks, and there's a pack standing there. Well, goodbye, right? So you had that other thing where it's like, okay, like this, you know, you don't even have time to build it up, and then you get blasted, and you know, it's just like miserable in every way, I think, right? Like the high end of it is too much, and the low end of it, you just get, you know, looked at by the tiniest little monster, and it already murders you, right? So it's that was kind of like all over the place. So Resolve is a very good example of like a terrible system, basically. And yeah, Scenic is also kind of like on the like, it's very interesting, but it was like too OP, and also like you have like very little insight about what your character can actually handle, right? It's like very hard to figure out how tanky are you even in the first place, right? You just hope for the best, basically. So
yeah, like I had a Selig Barb this season and I died 2 times. I don't know why. I just don't know why. Like
yeah.
okay, I tanked it. The next time I got hit, I die. Okay, like why is this the same attack?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and this is why I mean, like, I think defenses can be extremely boring, and it's okay as long as, you know, like the gameplay is good, right? Like if the combat stays exciting, and, you know, I know what I can tank, I know what I have to dodge, and, you know, there's like a back and forth and a dynamic. I think that is way more important than trying to make like a fancy system around it where you have like 7 different ways to solve your toughness or something like that. And I would rather have, you know, 17 ways to solve my damage instead, you know? So that is kind of more exciting, I think.
Like if we
Yeah.
are talking about choices, then for sure, if we have to decide whether we get defensive choices or offensive, then it's always gonna be more fun of offensive way, because we see the problems with toughness whenever we don't have them. we don't have the toughness itself. Like the only problem with toughness is when we die a lot. And if you have a fun way of toughness and you are just immortal, then you have no gameplay insights. So yeah, I agree with that, of course.
Yeah, I think the Glenn's issue was that it was like you just hit a certain point and you can't die, right? But I still like. I think, I guess like the good example I have is like the first 2 seasons for Paladin, where once you got 100% block chance, like you could actually feel it, right? Like there were no random like one shots because you're blocking everything, but at the same time, you have all the elite affixes and like the on death effects where you couldn't block them. So it doesn't matter if you could stand there for a year and never die to 90% of the attacks, because if you stand in this, you're still gonna get one shot, right? So like you're saying, you still have like Paladin was effectively immortal to a lot of things, but that didn't include the explosions on death and some of the affixes. So like I guess my issue with toughness now is, at least without Glenn's, right? Like how are a lot of these classes gonna live? Because that's not fun at all, right? Like you don't want to walk up and get one shot. Like I was doing before they fixed Glenn. So like the mob damage scale so high in tower, like you could clear and you'd have 3 minutes to kill the boss when it would only take you 1 minute. But the boss spawns and auto attacks you once and you die. It's like there isn't a counter gameplay to it, right? You just die. There's nothing you can do about it, and it's, I guess, yeah, I can't speak if Rogue feels good. Like Paladin certainly has not felt good the last season, but like that's just a class balance issue, and they did tweak block a little bit. I guess it remains to be seen what's going to happen. Well, I guess we'll find out the next few days.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Rogue has been squishy in the past, and I definitely can sympathize with that. Like, I think that's probably something they should look at if they aren't already. The one shot, like basically bringing down the top end damage and maybe buffing the white mobs damage or something, like to even it out a little bit. But I think an underrated aspect of defense, I think, is positioning. And like Jarun, for example, has like saved me 100 times last season from the falling swords. You just like click evade and you dodge the thing. That's because dash, like Rogue has immobility skills. Like there's like too many frames. Even if you're pretty fast reaction time, like a lot of times you end up getting hit by those. So I think that's something to look at if like people are like viewers are playing or they're dying a lot. I think just like combining positioning, like mobility skills, putting that in your setups, and obviously it takes a little bit of player skill as well to know these things. But I think that can saves me a lot of times from a lot of those like one shots, just like jumping out of danger. So I like that. Like for a lot of seasons, I feel like I was never afraid of anything. Like it was like tier 4 or whatever. Even in high pits, like dying was just not a thing. So I like that it at least is a thing, and now they can maybe balance it from here.
Yeah, we kind of like slid a little bit over into like this like full defense discussion, but I guess that's an interesting topic. And at least from my perspective, I'm wondering like what could be done basically, like what should be done, right? I do hear a lot of complaints from everyone, about on-dev effects and falling sword, the explosions, the fire enchanted, plague bringer, like
Crackling Soul.
Crackling Soul is not exactly on dev, but it's also like one of these like really overtuned affixes. And
Yeah.
I feel like in general across the board, it kind of is the truth that elite affixes seem to matter a little bit too much, and like the regular monster types don't really seem to matter enough. And I think it would be interesting if like those two things were kind of like brought closer together, where maybe they tune down one of these affixes, right? Especially on dev explosions, I think are just like not a very exciting mechanic. So it's fine for them to exist, and okay, if you stand in like 5 explosions, maybe you deserve it, right? But one sword should just like murder you or something, right? Or something like that. So, like at least have some sort of leniency there on like, what you can tank, I guess. And
yeah, that I was gonna ask you that, like what your thoughts are on like a
Yeah.
near guaranteed one-shot mechanic as a hardcore player, right? Like, is
Yeah, I did die twice this season, and I was both on a Warlock, both in like the first week, and both to fire enchanted explosions, yeah, because I just can't see them. You know, on the Warlock everything is red. You know, I Apocalypse explode the entire screen, and well, the fire explosions are exactly the same color. So, but this is not really the reason why I mentioned this. It's more like I think it's seriously taking the joy out of the game for a lot of people. Because this is also what I hear from people, like, you know, like the number one reason of death is always like the falling sword or something, you know, this is like, they just get hit by this, and yeah, it's not, you don't always dodge it, and I think you should be able to kind of like pay the price. Okay, like I get hit, okay, -1 potion or something, right? I press 2 potions and I'm full again, but you know, you only have 4 potions, right? So you have to get more potions after that. So, you know, that is already a price to pay, and it doesn't have to be like instant death, for example, right? So I think like the recovery needs to be looked at a little bit. Some of those affects needs to be looked at. And in general, I think it would be interesting if it just like a blanket nerf to all elite affixes, maybe like a 30% nerf or something like that would maybe be a good start. But on the flip side, I would like to see a buff to the auto attacks of all monsters as well, or almost all monsters. You know, maybe something like lunatics. You know, it doesn't have to be buffed or so, but you know, like I feel like I just never really look at what most of these monsters do. Some of them, okay, you kind of respect them. You know, like the big knights with their slam or something. Or like there's like these drowned dudes that have like the big tree they carry around, and they whack you with that or something, right? They do like the big slam. So a few of these guys matter, but almost no trash monsters really matter, I feel, where it's like, okay, when I go into a tower, like, okay, I hope I find the right elites. I hope that it's like a monster type that I can progress on nicely, but I don't really care what they do to me, you know? So I think that is a little bit too little impactful, basically. So I would like to see like an actual counterplay against auto attacks of monsters a lot more than just like thousands of elite affixes thrown at you. And then you know, Cracking Soul, I guess, is like the worst outlier there.
yeah, I feel like
Agreed.
with mob fishing, it's literally like you said, it's progression or like the annoying range stuff, right? That doesn't want to come in. Like it has nothing to do with like, oh, I'm gonna die, right? With the exception of a few things, and yeah, I don't. I think you're spot on with buffing the little guys and nerfing the affixes because yeah, I mean it's you're getting a lot of feedback that it's like not enjoyable to die that stuff, and I feel like all of us that play the game more than anyone like I don't want to have to like if you're playing a melee build, what do you do against Crackling Soul? Like even if it's not killing you, you just can't even play the game. Like you're just constantly moving. Like you just can't do anything about it because it's just constantly. I guess maybe that's like a how frequently it spawns type of issue, but yeah, like they definitely need to look at a lot of the elite affixes as far as like anti-fun.
Yeah, and I guess visual clarity kind of comes as like a secondary point there as well. If you compare this, like, for example, to D3 or something, I feel like everything is like way better telegraphed there. Like, you know, when I fight, like, you know, just recently I played the Diablo 3 season a little bit, and I was pushing, and you know, you actually have those scenarios where you stack up like 5, 6 elite packs or something. But I know exactly what each of them does. I know when they do it, and I know how to dodge them, and I know how I have to position myself to not get absolutely blasted by all of them. Right? It's not like I'm just face tanking everything. You know, I do have positioning, I have timing. You know, I go around, and you know, like I try to play around them, and it's like a much more interesting combat than, for example, pushing in the tower, where it's just like kind of like tank and spank and hope for the best. And yeah, this is definitely lacking, I feel, in D4 still. Okay, do we have anything else on that topic, guys? All right.
I'm just glad I'm not playing hardcore.
Not yet, yeah, but when you try it once, you're not gonna go back.
I don't know. I value my time too much.
Yeah, I played softcore this season and I yearn for hardcore. I'm like,
Oh, okay.
I can't wait to go back.
Yes. Yeah, I started hardcore. I had those 2 rips, and that was actually it. So that went relatively well, actually, but it was definitely scary. Yeah, like a lot of hatred definitely made it scary on hardcore, I think. Torn 12 is not easy on hardcore unless you're playing like, you know, some really tanky classes or some really tanky builds. But especially starting on Warlock as well, which is like on the low side of hardcore. Oof, yeah. Now it's a Necros, I guess. But either way, yeah, there's definitely like some more conscious choices you want to make, I guess.
I'm really excited for the race that you're like hosting, and I'm excited. Like I hope as a SSF player, or I mean a softcore player, that I can beat you with you're playing hardcore. But like I'm really excited to watch you and all the hardcore players like go in like on the edge of like, am I strong enough? Like against, like it's gonna be exciting. So like as a bystander on the sidelines, like I'm like a big hardcore fan, but not for me.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Same.
cool. Like, you know, when are the people gonna go in, right? Are they gonna risk it? Are they gonna wait? Like, you know, it's gonna be a bit of like a mind game, I guess. You know, like, are you ready? is the other guy gonna go in? Like, you know, it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Someone goes in early, has a 20-minute fight and wins. Like that would be cool. Anyway,
All right. Hysteria, did you want to say something?
Oh no. But I was just saying that I enjoy watching the hardcore stuff, but I don't think I could ever get myself to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's more like in hardcore, you need to have like a very good like situational awareness and understanding of the game, I think, right? It's like, okay, you need to know what every single monster does, what every single boss does, what every single elite does, and so on, right? And then, you know, it kind of comes down to like muscle memory and like the situational awareness and kind of like putting all those pieces together into, okay, so what is the most threatening thing here, right? So this is sort of like how I approach it most of the time when I'm like actually doing a run, you know, like this moment-to-moment combat, right? Like I always pay attention, okay, what is there? What elite effects do they have when I can see them? Obviously not like in a T12 run or something, right? Where it's just one shot, but if you're talking about like progression, it's like, you know, a little bit slow pace or tower or something. So this is always like the number one thing. And just having like sort of that always at the front of your like attention already helps a lot if you want to get into hardcore, basically. And obviously like a bunch of like mechanics testing you want to do, you know, like I spend hours at some points, you know, like going through all the lab bosses, you know, like looking at every single move they do so that I don't get surprised at some point or whatever, right? Because, you know, something might just go wrong with my build, or, you know, I go into too high difficulty and suddenly I have to do the fight, you know? So that is obviously something as well, but yeah. It's not that bad, guys. It's not that bad.
Yeah, my top 3 clips from my channel are rip clips, so
It's
yeah, it's great
content, yeah.
content.
Yeah.
let's get more of them.
Halt. Yeah. Okay.
More rip clips incoming.
Okay, we kind of like already touched on the next topic, which was class balance and build balance. Do you guys have any like comments on that? So, I mean, we have like representatives here from all, yeah, many classes at least. With like a very different picture looking at the season. And yeah, kind of wondering, like, what do you guys think? Like, are you happy with where things land? What is like the perfect build for you guys in terms of like balance maybe right now or something? So that would be cool to hear.
Yeah, I feel like I have an unpopular opinion when it comes to class balance. Like I feel like the quickest way to be like not enjoy ARPGs or Diablo 4 is like to compare classes. Like to me, they're different games. Like when Rogue was at the bottom, like I don't care, like because I just play Rogue, and I understand like people who play in a party and they want to be as strong as their friends. Like that's different. But if you play alone, like I don't mind playing the weakest build if it's like something fun or a meme build or something. So I think like that whole comparison and always looking up at another class or another build, like I just try to encourage people to not do that first of all. But yeah, I mean, ideally, I would hope Blizzard would be way more brave with the meta each season to like flip it upside down or like just make more brave changes, like items that have never been used, like Mother's Embrace, like that ring. Like what is that anyway? Like there's so many unused skills and items and things that I wish they would just be like not just 10% increase here and there, but actually make some significant changes that would impact the meta more frequently. That would be exciting, I think. But yeah, those are my kind of big picture thoughts. But I'm happy as a rogue because we have 10 builds at the top. So
Yeah, I I would love to disagree because like making
Go for
huge
it.
meta changes every league is pointless because it's harmful for the game, and like I believe especially now with Lord of Hatred, there's so many builds that people are still like in need of finding out. Like for example, on Warlock, Lunatic started to exist like 2 weeks in, and no one was playing it before because no one knew about it. Everyone was playing with hands, and it's such a shit build in comparison to Lunatic, but everyone was playing it because it was so popular. And then everyone started to play Apocalypse, and okay, Apocalypse was strong, but it also wasn't discovered on the first day. So if we start to buff things that are underused, then they may just jump like to 150s in the first day of the league because they were already good, but they were just underused.
Yeah,
So
I guess that's a very good point.
It's a
and
tough balance here.
Yeah.
It's a very tough balance here.
Yeah, like sometimes, okay, like we just have to accept that some builds are just not popular. And some builds, people don't like them, but they are good, right? They are strong. You don't have to buff it just, to the point where you force people to play it, right? That's not the point, right? So I agree with that. There's like one example, Profane Sentinel, right? It's like it's actually a pretty good build on Warlock, and
I played Profane
Yeah.
Sentinel, and my first Mephisto kill was on Profane Sentinel, and I was firing Mephisto on Profane Sentinel when people were still like on Torment 4 with their handlocks, and I was saying like, just drop the fucking hand build. It's so shit. I mean, okay, it was not shit, but no one could get around to getting the Anathema as the talisman slot, because when you get that on talisman, then you can have a real weapon and have way more damage. But people were stuck on that part so much, so they end up playing the worst build.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of funny though. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, Profane Center is like a very good build. We don't even have a guide for it because it's like not a build I want to play. It's not a build that Macro wants to play. It's not a build that I would recommend anyone to play. It's just like I don't want anyone to suffer through this. So it's like there's that,
I like
right?
totems. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, maybe somewhere down the line they don't necessarily buff it, but they kind of like remove the clunkiness part of it a little bit, and then would say, yeah, this is something you're gonna do for sure, right? I see the desire for like totem builds or something, but it's just not really there yet. And if they just like throw like another 100% damage multi on it, and I still don't want to do it, right? So this is kind of like the important part here. Like the build needs to be fun, and I feel like in 2026 right now, right? We have way too many fun builds for me to sit down and theory craft a build I will not enjoy. Like
I mean, if I have time, I can do the guide for it because I have the build for it and it's fun for me. You put like 5 sentinels around you, you teleport with them, they shoot everything. It's very fun build for me at least.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
yeah.
we can talk about
the
it.
guide for that.
We can talk about it, but either way, yeah. Like you also mentioned like Lunatic, which is kind of funny, right? Because Lunatic was like this like extreme meme, right? It was like, okay, there's this item, you transform into a fallen and explode, and okay, that's the build now. Like I didn't trust this at all, right? But it was like, okay, like I ripped on my Tyrant's Grasp, then I ripped on my Apocalypse, and I was like, okay, what do I do now? Yeah, sure, let's try this. and then I loaded up the Lunatic guy, and suddenly this was like the build of the season for the Warlock, right? So, I didn't expect that. I thought I was just doing like absolute meme. Yeah, but this is how it goes sometimes. It's kind of interesting. But I guess it has to do with just like, okay, the expansion was completely new. And, a lot of stuff was just like unknown, right? A lot of stuff was undiscovered and untested. So who knows? Now we have a way better picture, right? Like, okay, we have tested almost every single variant of every single build we can think of. It's been like 2 months now. We had a PTR. What is really gonna surprise us at this point? Like,
I mean,
throughout this
Autobomber
season.
on Barb is a surprise, but we don't know if it should exist. So
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah,
in
I
a
don't
big
know.
picture, it's not much, I guess. Sorry, is there?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I wish they would shift the meta more. I feel like we should feel some excitement, when you open the patch notes, like, oh, Firewall got
it's
3 times damage, and no one's
yeah,
even
like
touched that skill for 3 years, right? Like, I get what you're saying, and I
also
agree that if you force everyone to play it, that's not good either, right? Like, it's definitely a fine line, but I feel like, I played Sork nonstop, and it was the same thing over and over again until they, introduced a new item and created a new build, right? Like Hydra, or when they did Crackling Energy rework. But like, on that same end of it, right? Like, I think there was 3 seasons in a row where, like, if you're not playing Crackling Energy, what are you doing, right? Like, I think if we want to talk about what's bad for the player base, I think people would agree that logging in each season on your favorite class and being like, all right, time to load up the old pulverized druid again, like I don't think that's very fun. Like, I think they need more intense balance changes, and I guess to agree also that it doesn't need to be this is doing 150, it's forced now. They need to, you know, they could over crank the knob and buff something, but they need to be willing to dial it back when it is too strong, and not be like, I will fix it in 2 months when you're playing next season. They definitely need to dial them back when they buff them, but I feel like you were saying, this 10% damage buff, like what is that? Like, it's 32% damage to go 1 pit tier, and we're given builds that are 10 times weaker at 10% buff. Like, that doesn't feel right either.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm curious what you guys take is like, what is the perfect balance? Like, if there were 5 builds in a class, like, should they be like 1 in S tier, 1 in A tier, one in H tier? Should it be like a vertical spread, or like for Rogue right now, we're horizontally, we're just like all in A tier. Like,
yeah,
to me, that's like the dream. Like,
yeah,
what is the ideal
Rogue
balance?
is the best case of balance, and it was always like the best balanced class, I believe, because the spread was very very low.
Yeah, so that's my point. Is like every class, like I see Sork at the bottom, like like there's so many in Paladin as well, like at the bottom of D tier. Like, what's the harm in giving these like some fun thing to play with, just like to lift them up a bit?
I mean,
Yeah,
the discussion is, where do you want to buff it? Do you want to buff the unique, and then it just becomes obligatory to use, and then when you find it, you get like 10 tiers higher. If you get the base, then it's gonna be the base, the best leveling build. If you're just gonna buff the board, then maybe you will have also this board on the builds that you don't want the boards to be played with. Like, for example, this season I was playing Zealot build, like full full Juggernaut, because it was like the best way to scale the damage of Zealot. So maybe that's not the right balance here too. It's very hard to balance things around, and if you want to buff something for the sake of buffing it, then we also need to target precise points of the buff.
yeah. I mean,
And
there's like various tuning knobs, and I think it wouldn't be that hard if they have the information available of like how much does this build need and that build need, and how do you avoid buffing that other build that is already good, right? You have various tuning knobs, right? You have the skill itself, first of all, right? And whatever unique the skill also uses, because every skill in the game has a unique. So you have that. And I kind of agree, like, you shouldn't really make like a unique, like maybe 2 mandatory most of the time. Like, if you equip an item and suddenly you jump up like 2 torment levels just on that one item or something, that's kind of crazy. I guess sometimes you have sort of like a big build shift where, that happens and maybe it's okay. But I would rather like to avoid that. But I mean, buffing the skill, like just the base value of the skill or the variant of it or something, right? I mean, that is like a very sure way to only change that one thing, right? And okay, it might shift a little bit the early game balance, but that is like usually not
and
such a
then
big
we
deal, I
have
guess.
the frenzy throwing. That's like the way better than every core skill,
Yeah, okay. So,
because it has the bigger number,
yeah, you have to make
and
sure that it doesn't go out of
doesn't
control.
use the resource. It doesn't
Yeah.
use the resource. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, but then, like, for example, the buff classes as a whole, right? We talked about Paladin and Sork. I guess, Paragons is always like a candidate. Glyphs are a candidate, I guess. right? You can just like buff some of those, or like maybe some other like class specific aspects or uniques that are sort of like broad enough. So, it kind of, you can always decide like at what point do you want that buff to be felt, and as a dev, right? It's like, okay, do you want this only for like, end game pushing? Okay, then, you can put this into like some of the unique stuff or something, right? When you have a better quality items in the late game or whatever, right? And do you want this like more in the early game? I mean, maybe the buff just needs to happen right away so that, everything just feels better from the start. So you can put this into like a Paragon board or something, right? Do you want this something to where people have to work for it? Okay, you can put this on the glyph, right? So I feel like this is just kind of like done way too little, at least from my perspective, where, okay, sometimes they do buffs, but they're like not really in the right place, I feel, because they either affect other builds or they just like, they don't really affect the build, at the right point necessarily. So that is kind of missing, I feel. But I think like in terms of like the game balance as a whole, it's also like, I think all of the numbers are just kind of like too large across the board. I think,
Yeah, and
it's just like kind
makes
of,
it so hard to balance too.
yeah, exactly. Because like, we're just talking about this, right? We're saying, oh man, like we're buffing this skill by 10%. That's nothing. Like it needs a 10x, like you need to add 2 more zeros.
Yeah.
And it's like, these are like dimensions that are completely ridiculous, right? Like, okay, this build does 50 trillion damage. Yeah, that is trash, man. You need to do 300 trillion. Like, what are we talking about? So it's like, like when you talk about like a build in Path of Exile or something, like if you have 10% more damage, you're pogging out, man. Like this is like insane. Like wow, like 10% more, holy shit, right? And here it's like this is like a rounding error, So it's absolutely crazy. And I think that is like sort of like a huge source of this like problem of like the entire picture, right? Like when a lot of Hate had launched, I was actually expecting we would like absolutely slash all of the like legendary multis, legendary Paragon nodes. Like I expected everything to lose like a 0 or something like that. And instead actually all of the aspects got buffed, and it got even crazier. So that kind of like went completely in the wrong direction in my book. And it turned out to be very fun, in terms of like going through the progression and so on. But it does still have these like negative, like outcomes basically with like a balance is questionable. And I think that it doesn't have to be this way, and it can still stay fun. So that's basically what I'm trying to say here in the end. So there could be a better balance. Without really taking away from how we, experience and the game and how we have fun with the game, I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Well said.
I think I think the like you said that buffing the skill is like the easiest thing and doesn't like touch other stuff, but then yeah, it does cause like an early game like leveling issue. I guess like when I was trying to think about it, the best thing I could think of was like maybe we like loaded into like skill ranks, because once you hit like 25 plus ranks now, like you add a skill, you're getting like 1% damage. That doesn't really do anything, right? But like if they change the way the rank scaled, and as you get more gear, like it's buffing only that skill, like I guess the example from this last season was like blizzard damage, right? Like they're like 4,000% weapon damage, like because their ranks are giving them 100% each, right? Like I feel like they could definitely use that area as a way to buff certain skills and not over buff the stuff that's already strong. Like I think there's plenty they could do with that, and then yeah, it's just I don't know. I feel like disappointed a lot of the time when I open patch notes and there's no changes. Like it kind of happened with Paladin this season. Like I'm not looking for us to go catch Rogue, right? Like you were saying with playing, you play Rogue, so you don't care what Barb is doing, right? Like I definitely agree with that. I played Sork plenty of times when it was bad. I played Paladin last season, and like you're only competing against your own class, but like I don't know, it sucks to not see balance within the class, right? Like if they don't want to make anything stronger than, you know, Clash Paladin, why can't everything else be brought up to be closer? You know? I just feel like they're definitely missing the mark on adjusting skills that are not being touched, whether it's because they're not fun or because they're weak.
Yeah, I agree. And I think now they have Rogue, I guess, like as a good example of like it is possible. Like we have poison builds, it's damage over time. We have cold, which is crit. Like they're completely two different archetypes, and we have ultimate builds, rain of arrows, and death trap. All of these different and we have basic and core. Like the big spread of types of builds, and they're all still within like 5 tiers of each other. So it is possible. So maybe they can use that as like like a target for other classes to kind of see which knobs to twist.
All right. Do you have any other like insights or comments on a class balance or something like that on this topic? Okay. Well, we've been sitting here for like 1.5 hours, so let's move on to like the last topic, I think. We've got a small one, I guess, and then we can wrap it up. So the plans for the season. We did talk about this a little bit already, but you know, like I guess it was mostly for like the start or so. I'm not sure like how long you actually play the season. Like, you know, what do you like? What are the builds that you're looking forward to trying and so on? So maybe we can like just like reiterate that a little bit, worst case, and you know, go through this and like kind of see where we're at basically, and then maybe what you're looking forward to. Maybe you have like a wish list as well. That would be interesting as well to hear.
This is going to be a very different start. I mentioned before I've been doing party, now it's solo. Not only that, now like there's the race, like the Woody's hosting first to tier 12 Mephisto. Like normally in the season start, I never bother looking into the optimal way to level because and like which build for my class is going to be the best leveling build. Like I don't, I just want to, I blindly go in, I pick up the items and I build accordingly to what I'm feeling in the moment and do whatever activity. But now I'm like, wait, if I do that, I'm going to lose the race. So now I'm like, like for the first time, actually like being intentional with my leveling, and it's going to be. I'm kind of excited to. It's like pros and cons because in some way I'm like, oh, it's gonna be stressful. Like I'm gonna like every time I'm in town, it's like I'm gonna start sweating. So it'll be fun, but different. So I'm very excited about it, and I always when it's funny how like the meta and the tier list actually plays a big role in terms of where the player base goes. I've always noticed if Rogue is at the top, there's like a bunch new, like I get more views on YouTube and like there's new players asking all these questions. So I'm expecting a lot of new Rogue players. So it's going to be fun to be part of that and getting lots of questions from the community of people that have never played the builds before and stuff. So I'm excited for a fun season.
Stereo on this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to like, you know, get like a grind for the leaderboards and, you know, not have to worry about, you know, the Oilers coming in and doing things that are literally impossible for me to do. Like, I mean, even like as a trade player with the new like gearing system, I couldn't like you sit there refreshing for days and the stuff you need doesn't even show up. And it's like I guess it's gonna be I hope it like extends, you know, how long everyone's playing just because you have to like it could take forever to get certain pieces. And I will say it was very frustrating getting uniques last season. I hope the change to finally be able to pick a stat, you know, or reroll a stat will fix that issue, right? Because like, you know, nobody likes lair boss jail. That's just miserable. So
Well,
yeah,
speaking
I
about
mean,
lair boss jail, so since you want to play SSF, you want to actually have infinite keys. So that is this is a buff, as CGG would say. So
True.
that is definitely something to consider. So, you know, like the like sort of solutions you have are, well, you have to go and get the stuff, right? And now I have to figure out, okay, like what do you actually do to get layer keys? What do you do to get this? How do you get gold? How do you spend gold even? You know, how like you have to kind of think about that.
Gold exists in this game.
It's
That's crazy.
It's definitely like more like sort of like a strategy you can follow now. Like for example, as well, like when the season 13 launched, just like my anecdotal experience, you know, I was like at 0 Forgotten Souls and also kind of low on gold for a while. Yeah, and eventually I just figured out, okay, I was just like doing this wrong, I was just like spending too much, basically. It was like, dude, my gamble addiction, right? It got the better of me. So, and I just realized, like, hey, like I'm just making my items wrong. I have to do more cube crafting. I have to do this. I have to, like, I try to find items that have certain stats pre-rolled instead of trying to force, brute force them on the item. This sort of thing. And I found that very exciting as well. And this kind of is a bit of a throwback to the topic you had earlier about, like, okay, I can become better at the game, right? I can learn things. I can have more efficient strategies. And that is part of that as well, which is also, as like a bit of like advertising SSF here, I guess. So it's that is really fun to figure out, I think. And now I was just, towards the end of the season, I never had any issues again because I understood what I need to do in what way in order to get my items without, grinding forever, without running out of materials, right? So this is like definitely a very interesting SSF phenomenon, let's say, that you might have to learn as
Yeah.
well. So
I was gonna say we're gonna learn there's issues that
Yeah.
we never knew about before.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird not having 1,000 husks in my inventory.
Exactly. So like this like exactly this, right? When I played Zeph, like self-imposed as Zeph in the past, right? And we had exactly that, right? Like I didn't buy husks or whatever. And like I hear people like, oh my god, Belial, 10 hours a day, and I'm like, dude, I've done like 10 Belials my entire life, So it's like it's kind of funny. Yeah. So of course you're gonna hate the game, like you cannot enjoy this. How will this work?
Yeah.
So
Half the time is in Belial, the other half is on diablo.trade.com. It's like, what is... Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's true.
what are you doing? That's
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, Connors, do you have
Yeah, like I've spent like 200 hours current season, the Lord of Hatred season, and I was playing just a softcore. So now with Soul Self and hardcore, and also trying to compete for rank 1. I believe that's gonna be like best season ever, period. And I really hope I don't get like maybe too much hype, and then it's gonna be problem. We're gonna be lags. There are gonna be people cheating, and I don't even want to think about it. Everything's gonna be perfect for sure. Zero problems, problems if anything. But yeah, I'm hyped about the season. I'm hyped about the balance. I'm gonna also try to get the rank 1 barb for Mephisto, but of course I'm not gonna take a prize. If someone else is gonna win, then I'm gonna leave it, or if no one else wins, then maybe I'm gonna take it. We'll see.
There's gonna be
Maybe
one barb, guys.
maybe I'm gonna be so slow that I'm gonna be like rank 10 and I'm just boasting. So we'll see. I hope we get some like nice competitive people too, because I don't usually compete that much, because when I compete, I'm just too much into it, and it's getting a little bit toxic. So we'll see. Maybe I'm not gonna get that much caught up with it. I hope it's fun. I didn't play tower that much, and I've heard a lot of complaining, but I've also had like 3k hours plus on D3, so I know how pushing works. So maybe a lot of complaints come from there, that people just play it for the first time and then, oh, I need to fish for the location. Yeah, of course you have to do that. You have to fish for the location, for pylons, for monster type, for boss. You have to fish for everything. It's normal. That's how it works. So yeah, I'm just gonna go rank 1 barb from day 1 to mark of the first reset. That's 2 weeks in, right? And then if you get the 2 weeks in rank 1, you're gonna have the halo for the whole season and for the next season. So I'm just gonna be boasting in Tamis, mewing at people.
That's great. Okay. All right.
That's my plan for the season.
Good plan. I like it. But I know Matthias is also like a big competitor. Hysteria, like actually we have a lot of like rank 1 blasters here in this podcast, turns out. So yeah, I guess your plan is also like just go rank 1, right? So
For sure.
Yeah.
so even outside of the race, so it's gonna be kind of exciting to see what you'll do. And well, good luck to everyone here. From my perspective, yeah, I'm starting hardcore as Zev, so I'll obviously participate in the own race that I made with Mephisto, even though okay, I can't, like, I excluded myself from the prizes, right? But it's just gonna be fun, I think, to like do that and go in and try Mephisto with like a super undergeared character and hopefully win. So we'll see.
And not die.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, besides that, I mean, I got 6 out of 8 classes done in season 13. I played all of them on the PTR, but then it was just very little on the 2 missing ones, which are Barb and Sork. So these are kind of like my priority. After starting the Rogue, I will do a lot of these 2 classes, and then we'll see. I might try to like do a little bit of all of them or most of them at least. So I'm gonna be here for a while, I guess. Like it's gonna be like a full month of just like gaming, and that's gonna be fun. So yeah, that's kind of like my rough idea for now. I actually have like a list somewhere on my Discord, like my Woody Builds channel. Like there's like a for the people that are interested, like my rough list of builds basically that I'm planning or that I'm eyeing to do. All right. That was very fun, guys. So we had almost a 2-hour podcast now. I think that was really cool. Maybe we have like some last minute questions here from chat. So I want to open the stage for like chat to maybe have some questions for us or anything that you feel like we should comment on. If you have anything, since we didn't really do that. But in terms of like our topic list, we are through with this. I think that was very cool. And also like very interesting perspectives here about, like the crafting, the progression, and, maybe hopefully something that helps the devs to, maybe they pick it up or something, right? I'm pretty sure they check out these things as well here and there about what we're talking about. Maybe they get some inspiration or some other spark for the next season. Who knows? Even if it takes a while. So yeah.
We have a question in the chat.
A question in chat from Aaron M. Shaw. Do you feel like you spend too much time in town? Interesting. What do you guys think?
If we look at just sorting stuff, just picking up stuff, then I feel it's alright if you know your loot filter. It was a problem before, but now I believe it doesn't exist. For the crafting side of it, crafting usually takes a little bit of time, but it's engaging time because you are doing something, so it's not that bad. And the one thing that I don't like personally, when I saw that we got higher obol cap, because that means that I'm gonna sit, click 10,000 times, go to blacksmith, salvage, go back, click 10,000 times, salvage, go back, and it's gonna be like pointless 10 minutes of finding one item. I would rather go and kill monsters to find items. Why am I farming item in town? But that's maybe just a taste. I don't like it.
I agree with that part, actually. I was also disappointed in seeing the obol cap erased. But we'll see. Maybe they nerfed the obols anyway. But I think like loot filter kind of solves most of that issue. If you want to spend less time in town, you're gonna make a stricter filter. It's that simple. You just add an extra rule.
Yeah.
And if you hate your life, it's salvaging all the time, so you just do that. But yeah, besides that, yeah, I think it's okay. So the crafting, like the cube crafting, is kind of like interesting. I think it's a decent crafting system. I hope that they're gonna see like maybe more recipes or stuff like that added. So it's something where I feel like they can very easily attach more things, right, to the cube. So besides that, I think it was pretty successful.
I do wish there was a little more with the the imprint and aspect on the amulet. I wish they I wish there was no damage. Like I wish there was no damage things there, and then I wish, because it's utility only, I think they need a resource added into that. So like if they had utility plus resource and then removed anything that was damage based, like I think as far as the crafting or the cube stuff, I feel like that would be beneficial. Like I feel like anytime, you see with the runes, like anytime you add like maybe
Yeah.
1 or 2 damage options, it's like, well, that now it's not an option, right? It's like I feel
Yeah.
I wish I wish there was a little more flexibility with not being forced to do something, and like having not only utility stuff but like the resource aspects being stuck on ring only really puts you in a tough spot, especially with how powerful some of the rings are.
That's a good point. But utility for a long time in this game has like been shoved down.
Yeah.
So anything that can lift that up is I'm for it.
Yeah,
The question was like, do I stay in town? I feel like war plans has helped me with that for sure. Because I'm like, oh wait a minute, what was I doing? And I was just like, okay, war plan. So that like takes off a lot. And obviously loot filter helps. But I also like my new strategy. I surrendered like myself to the stash. Just like I have like 12 mules that I just put like I just keep everything, and I just close my eyes and put it on another character, and that works for me. So yeah, I
At
feel
least
like
we won't
I've
have to do
found
that with
systems.
1,000 obol bags, because that was yeah.
Oh,
At least
true.
we can at least pop them, right? Yeah, the one good part of the obol cap. You don't have to hoard the bags.
Okay, here's
anymore.
a question from Check-in X. What are the top 3 things that should be fixed or added to make the game better? So, any, just like rapid fire ideas.
I mean, definitely remove like a 0 on everything. We talked about that.
Yeah, so they talk about balance. I guess like elite affixes and stuff like that would probably not hurt to like, take a look at. What else? I guess war plans balancing and choosing stuff a little bit more would be interesting. Like as a as like a big update to the system, I guess. I was actually kind of surprised to see that they barely touched wall plans. I feel like there's so many nodes where I'm like, okay, like I very clearly really don't want to pick that thing over that other thing, and it's like it doesn't really entice me enough. It doesn't really like as enough of a strategy behind this path in the wall plans on this one activity where I feel like I can really get something out of it, right? So I was actually expecting, we'd see nodes revamped or extra branches added or something like that, but it didn't happen. But maybe this is something, like it was a short season, so maybe they're gonna do this later.
Yeah, I feel like that one thing I don't know is like the glyph level is going to 150 now. Like it's kind of weird, especially when you're a class that can't clear high enough, right? Like I feel I guess I don't understand the change that they did. Like I get like having something to grind and chase, but like I don't think, running a pit with a 4% chance to upgrade over and over and over again is very fun either. So like I guess like maybe take another look at the glyph cap and how that works with the leveling. It feels kind of in a weird spot, at least the last season for me.
Here's a question: What is your guys' view on the vulnerable change this season?
What is the vulnerable change?
Yeah, the I guess they're talking about save rune, I guess. I guess probably not really relevant for the rogues.
No, I'm like, what?
Yeah, the rogues don't care. They have cold imbuement and everything else, so they're kind of chilling. But it does actually affect all builds in a pretty big way, to be honest.
Yeah. It's they took that main option for Paladin away, like the consistent full map. So it's definitely gonna cause some issues, or I guess kind of force us to funnel into 1 or 2 skills that we might not normally run. I don't know if that's gonna end up good or not. I guess
like
we.
That's the thing
No,
that we needed more choices. We already had like only like few options, and then we have just one less. So it's not a solution.
Actually, I find myself actually like at least
I
so
like
far
the change, but we still need to get more sources.
Yeah, so I agree that there needs to be like maybe more source of vulnerable uptime. I like that now runes are a little bit more open because I just don't default to the save rune everywhere anymore. And
I agree, I
that
agree.
is actually kind of nice. I think there's actually a lot more runes that I look at now as like potential candidates in my build. That was actually good. But I guess the problem is that, it's like too much just day and night. Like, okay, vulnerable is up, I do damage. Vulnerable is down, I do no damage. And we're not quite there in like season 0 status or so, where it's also like, times 6 or something. But you can easily lose like a double or triple multiplier or so when you have a lot of vulnerable damage, right? And that is what every build does. And it's like not really negotiable, right? If vulnerable was not attached to like stats on your items, right? There was only, okay, a 20% boost, the target is vulnerable, that's it. Then you could easily say, okay, like I don't have a good way to proc it, like I don't care, like okay, 20%, right? But you can't really do that because of the vulnerable multiplier. So I think it might actually make more sense to just like delete the vulnerable multiplier from gear potentially, and
It's gonna help with the numbers to go down.
Yeah, that is also another thing, or you could replace it with other interesting stats, right? So it doesn't have to be like dumping down the gear, but I think that is really the main issue here, actually. It's not that, okay, we have too little sources on some classes. It's more like, I need to have vulnerable, and I have no option to not do it, right? Like, at least for like other archetypes, or like other effects, like, I can choose, okay, do I want to go overpower? Do I want to have ferocity? I cannot choose, do I want to have vulnerable, right? So that is like a bit of a problem here.
I agree on it being nice to free the rune slot up, though. Like, I just think that removing that, they should have done some adjustments to the classes that had
Yeah,
issues with it, not literally do nothing. Because like there's a reason, right, that everyone was running wolves for Vuln, because it just wasn't very easy to do it without it.
okay, there's a question. Do you think the introduction of mythic uniques with 2 preset affixes and 1 to be enchanted limits the variety of items, since they're so much better than anything else, especially legendaries?
It's hard to say exactly how it will play out with the uniques because we haven't really felt it. I think it will feel really good though. I think it fits Diablo 4's like you find the item and it will be like you can get 3 guaranteed affixes. Like you're gonna have a solid item versus before like I could find the unique pants and they had like absolute garbage affixes and it was like kind of unusable. But now I feel like yeah. So I like the new system, but it's hard to comment on.
Plot twist, every enchant costs 1 spark.
Oh no!
Holy, do it! Let's go! Log in! Log in! I'm hyped. I'm hyped. Do it!
Yeah.
At least we'd have something to spend the sparks on. I feel like I had 200 last season that it just sat there.
If it's not done, then please hotfix it now, Blizzard.
I tried. That's great. Okay, anyway. Do you have any other questions, guys? Else we're gonna wrap it up here. Maybe like 1 or 2 more. Let's see if we get something from chat, or did I miss something? Someone is asking, this world boss solo in SSF? No, the open world is still shared, so in case you're not aware, like Soul Self-Found is not like your own server. There's still open world stuff, but yeah. Anyway, I don't really see anything else, so maybe we're gonna wrap it up, guys. So that was fun. So thanks for the podcast. And for everyone listening in, I hope everyone's gonna have a blast in the season. Good luck, have fun. And yeah, hopefully something comes out of this, we'll see. For you guys, if you want to say any final words, and feel free to do that.
Just thanks for hosting the Mephisto race. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, my final words, my ending. Wait, maybe not final words because that sounds bad. But yeah, ending words would be that just have fun because yeah, the main reason to play a video game is to have fun. So don't forget that, because people get caught up with the best builds, the best strategies. I need to level on Helltide. Why are you not leveling on Helltide? Just have fun and stick to your maybe some goals that you want to have. Like maybe find a cool mythic unique this season, or like 2 fun mythic uniques this season, because you can craft one, so you also need to find a second one. So maybe that's your goal. Focus on the journey and yeah, just have fun. The best build you can play is the one that you have the most fun with. So that's your S tier build
Nice.
for this season.
Okay, Hysteria, got anything?
Well, I mean, I'm excited to dive in. I don't think this is probably the longest I've gone without playing Diablo. Like I don't think I've opened the game, well, besides like, the brief PTR testing. I've stopped playing after like 3 weeks in. I usually last a bit longer, like doing leaderboard stuff and everything. So I mean, I'm excited to get back in. Like, we'll call it a well-deserved, rest from the Diablo grind, because I imagine the SSF is definitely going to add a lot more to it. So, just excited to hop in.
It's gonna be fun.
All right. Yeah, so that was it. So thanks for hanging out and also to chat. Hope everyone enjoyed it. This was Hysteria, Condis, Matthias, and myself, wudijo, all from the Maxroll team. We obviously have a lot more guys, but we can't have like 20 people on the podcast. So I'll try to maybe get some other guys, maybe, down the line in like a few weeks or something, to do like a review of the season or something. But for now, send everyone here some love and yeah, enjoy, guys. So thanks, guys, as well for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for inviting.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.